And I'll just have you introduce yourself by saying your name, who you're with, and just a fun fact about where you're at and what you like to do.
Oh gosh, that I did not prepare for. I am Jennifer Grafton. I work with Schrader Group, which is a horror couple mock studio, and I am the Pennsylvania K-12 leader.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Do you
So,
have any? What's like a fun hobby that you like to do in your spare time?
oh, I love to cook. Cooking is my. If I was not an architect, I would love to be a private professional chef.
Oh, that I like that. What's your go-to dish at home?
I don't know that I have a go-to dish. I just like to I have a good palate, so I like to
Okay.
try and experiment with a lot of stuff, but not desserts. I'm, like, more of a savory.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Let's start off just talking about radically student centered. So that can be implied in a lot of different ways, but just high level, when you hear that terminology or that phrase, what kind of comes to mind to you as you think about radically student centered?
So, I've been thinking about it a lot, especially with this conference. We see projects like the McConnell Award and all the other, design projects, which I actually had the opportunity to be a juror this year.
Oh,
So,
amazing.
to see all the dossiers and read about all the projects are very inspiring. So I see all those things, and I think all of those things are very radical and radically student centered. But the types of work that many of us get to do aren't radical in that nature. So for me, like, radical is very subjective and based on the types of communities that we're serving. Not everybody has the big budgets. Not everybody has the infrastructure or the ability to build a new school or do additions. So I don't think that things are quite as radical in the type of work that I do. So every little increment that we can shift the needle, disrupt the status quo, to me is radical in the school districts that we work for.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's an amazing perspective. I mean, I'm always in awe of the Schools Next program that they do here, and just like the experience that they give the students to do that. But to your point, I mean, at least right now, I hope we get there. But not everybody gets that experience, and kind of same thing with what you're saying too, as far as not every school has the big budgets, the big dollars. So, um, I guess getting your perspective, what do you kind of do to keep that phrase at the top of what you do on a day to day, even with some of those challenges? Do you kind of have certain things that a process that you go through, or certain questions that you might be kind of involving in the process early on to just at least keep the mindset there and keep thinking the right way when you're going through projects? Is there anything that you kind of have or tips that you would give to other architects as far as keeping the right mindset there?
But really try to think about spaces through the lens of the students. I'm doing a K-1 center right now, and so everything that we do is we try to think from the student's perspective, like even down to like the eye level that we do our renderings at. We want to see and understand how those spaces are going to feel from a student's perspective. So I think every project that we work on, we need to take ourselves out of, our adult mindsets and step back and remember what it was like to be a child. Think about how we experience space, how we were educated, and how we can change from what we experienced and make it better and make it different. All the things that we've learned from our clients, all the things that we've learned from these conferences, and not think about them as an adult, but think about them as the children that are going to be experiencing our spaces.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, so we had a fun question theme prepared where we spin the wheel, and you landed on how do you ensure that all voices, students, staff, families, communities, are heard and valued during the early stages of a project? This could be like just a success story that you've had with this, or just generally, like how do you kind of get that perspective in there early on in the projects that you work on and lead?
It's so important to get everybody's voices, and not every school community is open to getting all of the voices. But I think the best ways to do it are just engage with the students. Often get the chance to engage with the staff and the administration. I think that's a given. Communities can be a challenge to engage with because sometimes the administration may not have that openness with their community and they are a little hesitant to engage them. So we try to craft interactions that can either be very sort of one directional at the direction of the district, where we're trying to sort of present information to keep them informed, because transparency is key. especially getting buy-in from communities and parents and students. But when we get the opportunity to really engage students and families through whether we're doing it through workshops, whether we're doing, bringing them in for shredding and doing manipulatives or just surveys and working with students, I think those are our strategies to try to pull information out of them. I love when we do working with young students. I've done a lot of like career days and stuff at schools, and I love to talk about what I do as an architect, partially because I do K-12. And so I feel like I can connect my work to their reality and sort of understand, like, so they can get a better understanding of what I do through their experience. So just having those conversations and getting them excited about what can happen and how architecture can be formed and shaped by their experiences, like having those conversations with them early and then using that information to inform our designs is
Absolutely. And I've heard it a lot where the term guide has come up a lot as far as like the work that you do. And it's funny because I think as you're trying to kind of guide that conversation, it's really important to say when you kind of get that early involvement, it's easier to kind of set that stage and to implement like a radically student-centered approach or mindset to it. So I guess as we talk about radically student-centered, obviously you kind of defined how you would explain it today. What would you say, or how would you say it's going to kind of evolve over the next 5 to 10 years, at least in your work and maybe even in the school's perspective? How do you kind of see that term or phrase evolving?
I hope it becomes more central to how we educate students. It's not something that the architects. I feel like the architects are pushing that, and I hope that it becomes less coming from the design professionals, that it's coming more from the administrators. It's something that maybe it's being infused into the education of the teachers while they're in colleges, so that they're not just learning to teach the way they've taught and then coming into a classroom and never having experienced anything different. Like I hope that this becomes second nature, because everybody has already understood the importance of it, and it's more grassroots than top down. And for me, that would be amazing, and that's how it's really going to be a student-centered, radically student-centered, because everybody's doing it, and it's very transformational. Like, we're not seeing enough transformation. The teachers have to understand it. They need to be able to teach it. They need to be able to understand it instead of having to bring people in to teach them how to do it. Like, it needs to come from the universities.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Like from your perspective, do you guys do coaching on that? I'm just kind of curious, or like conversations to kind of, or like what do you guys kind of do to kind of flip that and kind of get the teachers and the schools thinking about that too?
More and more, I'm trying to encourage our clients to consider bringing people in early. We work with a lot of really great furniture vendors who understand the importance of furniture, and they'll come in and they'll provide test environments for students and teachers, but many of them don't bring in the training, and that's how spaces fail, quite frankly. So as we get engaged in new projects or even renovations, trying to talk with the administrators and explain to them the importance of what we're trying to accomplish together, but why they need to start bringing people in early and having the conversations and doing all the change management, because you can't just throw them into a new building or a renovated space with new furniture and expect them to use it differently if they're not being taught how to do it.
Exactly. I mean, we say it all the time. Like in our work, if you do that and you don't give them that, I guess you could say professional development there, it's just a more expensive space that they're just using it the same way they've always done. There's nothing changing there. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And I think just bringing in those perspectives as early as possible, I couldn't agree more. So is there anything that I missed that you wanted to talk about or that you prepared for today?
I did not prepare any.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's no big deal. But well, we really appreciate you coming on and talking and kind of hearing a little bit about your work. And yeah, we just appreciate your insights there. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.